moving forward, this channel will mainly be focused on data science, analytics, and this is probably the last monologue. Like every now and then I may do a little mini monologue, but this will be the last video specifically dedicated to a monologue. If you haven't already, follow me on X at AkWu Chronicles. That's where I mainly focus on analytics and the MLS metric, where it basically differentiates who is the highest value player. So it helps me and others differentiate the best from, like, the top players from the crowd, from everybody else. And right now it's just focused on offense because the game of soccer is heavily favors defense. So that's why I'll only focus on offensive players, because in my opinion, the rules heavily favors defensive players. So that's that. So onto the main message, which is going to be brief. DC United, LA Galaxy. At first, I thought this was going to be a Sunday night soccer match, but then I checked again. It's Saturday. Prime time Saturday. Late at night. LA Galaxy and DC United meet each other at an interesting time in the history of both of these clubs. LA Galaxy coming off earning another star, having 6 stars. The first and only MLS team to ever do that. You have DC United, 4 stars. Missed the playoffs last year. And as of right now, it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs again this year. The same could be said about LA Galaxy. Well, actually, same for LA Galaxy. It looks like LA Galaxy is going to miss the playoffs this year. And therein lies the problem. Because you have 2 of the most storied clubs, 2 of the most storied franchises in MLS history. And we're on the verge of the golden year in MLS and American soccer as a whole. The 2026 year, where every aspect of American soccer will be at the center stage, where everybody is going to be looking at it with a microscope or a magnifying glass, examining every aspect of it, whether it's the national team, the club, the youth organization, how business is done, just every little aspect of it, even the refs, everybody. Every little thing about American soccer is going to be dissected in 2026, because that's the World Cup year and North America is hosting it. Going to be constant comparisons between MLS and Liga MX and the USA national team, the Canadian national team, the Mexican national team. Everything about it is going to be dissected. So to have 2 of the most historical clubs in league history sitting at the bottom is not a good look. It's not a good look at all. And when it comes to DC United, nobody knows what's going on. And I'm not even sure if DC United know themselves about what they are, who they are. Sometimes I just think DC United is just sitting down on a deserted island with no resources. They don't know how to build. It's like a person who is sitting on a deserted island. He don't know how to build. He don't know how to swim. He don't know how to hunt for food. He don't know how to build shelter. He's just sitting there on a deserted island with no plans. He don't even hope that somebody will come and rescue him. He's just sitting on a rock with an empty mind. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it just, from the outside looking in, that's what it looks like. That's what it seems like. If such is true, I have created a 4-star plan that will help DC United get back on track in time for the golden year, which is 2026. Because it would be a terrible look for a club that represents the nation's capital. DC United being the soccer face of America, sitting at the bottom of the league again. So the 4-star plan, star number 1, identity. DC United needs to establish an identity. Who are you? What is your purpose? What are you doing when you're out there on the field? You see, when you don't have an identity, you see players arguing with each other, players fighting each other, players cussing each other out, players, calling each other derogatory names and stuff like that. When you don't have an identity, you're basically the blind leading the blind. You're just a group of guys that's just thrown out there on the field and you're just expected to make something happen out of magic. DC United needs an identity. Star number 2, the right pick. You see, I know attracting big time European names is a big thing in MLS culture. But you got to make sure it's the right person. You see, I don't think that Christian Benteke was a popular pick because a lot of us didn't know who he was, and that pick it didn't make like huge headlines similar to Gareth Bale, Lionel Messi, Miguel Almiron, those type of guys. But Christian Benteke turned out to be the right pick based on his play on the field and his dedication. You see, if Christian Benteke was the popular European pick, he probably would have packed his bags and left went back to Europe. I mean, look what happened in Toronto. That's a good example of whether that was the right pick or the popular pick. Usually when when you bring in a European player as the popular pick, the European player is not willing to help build the team from the ground up. The popular European player don't want that kind of responsibility. The popular European player typically expects everything to be running smooth. Stress-free time. I don't think Federico Bernardeschi and Lorenzo Insigne were prepared to rebuild a Toronto club from the ground up, which is why the popular pick didn't work out as well. But you see, with Chris Benteke, he was not the popular pick. He was the right pick because he's willing to still work through dark days. He's still willing to fight when you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. He chose to stay through the bad, and he's determined to see the day when the bad turns into good. That's an example of the right pick. You see, DC United, as you head into the summer transfer window and the winter transfer window, you have to focus on getting the right pick. Guys who are not flashy. Guys who don't care about, going viral on social media. But guys who you go up to and you said, hey, we need your help to bring DC United back to respect. We need your help to bring dignity back to DC United. And those players are willing to say, yes, I'm willing to help. No matter how much you pay me, I'm willing to help. Those are the type of guys you need, DC United. Star number 3, tenacious. Guys, this is not only for the players. Now, this is everybody in the organization. The DC United community, the DC United ecosystem, coaches, general manager, just everybody who's employed by DC United and ownership too. Your willingness to continue to work hard to achieve that goal, even in the midst of, controversies and other potential distractions. It's basically everybody working to achieve a goal, which is winning and championships, no matter how hard it is. Now, DC United, you have a tall task from rising from the bottom, and that's going to be extremely difficult. So you got to be tenacious. And lastly, star number 4, awareness. You see, DC United, you have to be aware that with the rich history that you have, you are the hunted. You don't get any breaks. You see, that is one of the disadvantages of being at the top. That's one of the disadvantages of being one of the top dogs of a sports league. You never get a break every week. Every opponent you play, every opponent you play, they're going to give you their all because you're the top dog. And not only are they trying to catch up with you, but they're trying to surpass you. The only time it will get easy, the only time you'll get a break in a matchup against somebody is when you're no longer the top dog. And that will be a bad thing. And this is for any sports team. Anytime your opponent take you lightly, that means you're irrelevant to them. They don't view you as a worthy opponent to take serious. But you, DC United, you're not in that situation. So because you're one of the top dogs, every team is going to play hard against you. And I don't think you've been aware of that. Because if you've been aware of that, your approach to the game would be different and you would definitely not be at the bottom. So those are my 4 stars to rebuild DC United. Identity, the right pick, tenacious, and awareness. You have to be aware of who you are. You have to remind yourself who you are. That crest, that DC United crest, is not just a regular crest. It means something. And it's time for everybody in that organization to realize that this is not just some ordinary crest. Any crest that has a star on it, even if it's 1 star, any MLS crest that has a star above it, you're not an ordinary club. That star means something. And for you, DC United, those 4 stars mean something. And you need to become more aware of that. Now, as for LA Galaxy, the message is pretty simple. You have to, as you being the top dog, you're not one of the top dogs. You are the top dog with 6 stars. You have to continue to widen that gap. 6 stars is not enough. You need way more than that. Because what you want to do, LA Galaxy, you want to create the gap between you and everybody else so wide that it will take at least half a century for somebody else to catch up with you. Yes, I said it. You want to make that gap between you and everybody else so wide that it will take half a century for somebody to catch up with you. So 6 stars is not enough. You need more than that. Your job for the rest of this decade and into the 2030s is to make sure that nobody catches up with you and you continue to widen that gap between you and everyone else because you're the top dog of American soccer. And I'll close this final monologue about the 2 most prestigious clubs in MLS. Don't ever let there be a time where both of you are at the bottom of the league after this year. We should not see LA Galaxy and DC United being at the bottom of the league for a very, very long time. These 2 clubs shall always be above the playoff line at any point of the season. Any point of the season. Always. Always. Until there comes a time where there's a new group of teams that are the top dog. Because LAFC, Seattle, Houston, there's a lot of Cincinnati, Columbus, New York Red Bulls looking like they want something. So there's a lot of MLS clubs that are very ambitious. But as for these 2 clubs, as of now, let there not be a time where both of you are at the bottom of this league for a very, very long time. As you 2 being the most prestigious clubs in this league, you should never be at the bottom. And people don't want to hear about any excuses about roster rules. Nobody wants to hear that. You two are the top dogs. You find a way to make it happen. You find a way to win games. Because that's what the top dog do. The top dog never complains about anything. The top dog finds a way to make it happen. The top dog always finds a way to dominate, regardless of the circumstances.